Tell you because I don't know what it is. They are giving away a mystery giveaway, and they're going to be giving. I'm assuming like they sell hats and hoodies and bikinis and all this stuff. So it probably won't be a bikini, but I'm hoping it'll be a hat or a hoodie, something like that. But whatever they give you, it's
literally my favorite hats are Muskie Maniacs hats.
They're really good.
They have a really good like hat blank that they use, manufacturer.
Yeah,
and the patches on it is. They're all great. Their color combinations, they're such good hats.
I have a gray one with like lime green back, like the mesh.
I've got two. I got a green one with like a kind of a tan back.
Yeah.
And then I also have my blue one with a white back. Like they're such good hats and comfortable.
They're very good. And like we saw them at CanCast. We went into their booth and their hoodies are top quality. They look classy. They're really good. They're really good quality. Highly recommend. Definitely check out them on social media. We'll link everything below, like we said. But they are going to be giving away a mystery giveaway to someone who listens to this podcast. And the only way to enter is to not listen because you can't listen to Instagram, but watch our Instagram posts where we're going to post the giveaway on our Instagram. So that'll be posted this week coming up as you listen to this. So make sure you put on the post notifications and you can be one of the first persons to enter. So we do appreciate that. We hope that this year you catch the biggest muskie of your life. And if you do, definitely send us a picture of it so we can post it on our social media. So Andrew, we're going to end this episode with quote of the week.
If you want to catch a muskie, wear a Muskie Maniacs hat because the water temperatures are colder. And so moving to a presentation that is more vertical, or you cast out a jig and you work along the bottom, it's a pretty slow retrieve. You're not just like cast out, retrieve, cast, retrieve. So it gives these fish more time to be able to locate and eat that bait. And you can spend a lot of time. Some of these things are oftentimes will pick up a jig right off the ground, just it sitting there.
Yeah.
So being able to do so in the fall is really good to be able to use jigs because it's such a slow presentation. And also the fish generally are deeper in the fall, not in as much shallows. So they're holding to further underwater or deeper structures. And jigs really shine around those areas because, again, they sink. All jigs sink. Except for, they're called floating jigs. They're not really jigs.
Yeah.
But they do have their purpose. But again, that's another one we're not going to talk about today just because it doesn't really fit with our theme. So the first one I wanted to talk about is the basic jig. Like this is just a ball head jig. This one has some wear and tear on it, as you can see.
It's hit a few rocks.
And what would be the most classic like trailer for a ball head jig?
Like a 3 or 4 inch Mr. Twister.
Yep, and that's
Twister
exactly what I have here.
Yeah.
These are the Mr. Twisters. The bag got bad, so I put it in a Ziploc. But classic, you keep the tail up, you just loop it on over top of the hook, put it over the hook keeper, and there you have a clump.
This one's made by Berkeley. It's basically a jig head. It's kind of an arrow shape, and then it has a built-in plastic fin on the bottom, and it looks stupid. When I first saw these, they came out, I was like, that's stupid, that's gimmicky, and I didn't buy one for a long time. And I saw a few shows on YouTube, and they're like, oh, it's cool because it has a jig when you jig it up.
Because it's just staying in the strike zone the whole time.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys think, oh, it's spraying. It's the first thing we do is we go out for crappie in the spring with some slip floats, and we start fishing the shallows with this. But you can get these things to be effective all year round, but especially the fall, things slow back down again. Spring, what is it? It's cold water. They're coming out of the deep up into the shallows. Weeds are, they're not super big though. The fall, what's happening? The weeds are there. They're dying off. There's some still left. Fish are moving back to the deep water. Water's cold. Sounds like pretty similar.
Yeah.
So using some of those springtime techniques in the fall is a really good opportunity.
And like that is a technique that became popular. Like remember it was called float and fly? And a lot of rod companies came out with specific rods for that. They were bass rods, but they were really long, like 8 to 9 feet long, like light action rods. And it was basically for float fishing little marabou jigs. That's literally the technique, and it was popular for years.
So the fall, again, next episode, we're going to be talking a lot about fall fishing. There's 2 things, guys, British will tell you is upsize your baits or downsize your baits. And it depends on your day, depends on the species. But if you're going for, still going for those fall bass, that's a really good time where stuff like BFS, stuff like small jigs, that stuff can become really effective in the fall because all of a sudden this fish doesn't want to expend much energy at all. There's something just sitting in front of it. It's like, oh, I'm a little defenseless little minnow. So take those onto any other boat that I want to get in the future. That's where I want to put my money because that's, once I'm now on the water, the stuff is going to help me catch more fish, like you said, is going to be those electronics. It's having that foot-controlled trolling motor. It's having, maybe a shallow water anchor to stay in that spot. It's having a good electronics to locate fish, to locate the structure, to find those things that are going to help me catch more fish. And I don't fish competitively. I've never done it, but just be able to go out and sizes. So we're going to have, a way of measuring or making sure your fish is measured and we know who's deserving of what prize.
But it's going to be fun. And again, you might have the opportunity to fish with someone with a little more experience than you and learn something while you're out there in the water, as well as fish in a bigger boat, which is always fun. I got to fish with my buddy Paul the other day. He has a pretty nice boat, and we were flying down the lake, and I was like, this is amazing. My boat only goes 10 kilometers an hour. And he was like, what? I can't hear you. Just kidding. So anyway, if you're interested in that, send me a message on Instagram. Just tell me, I'm interested. Let me know. I just want to kind of gauge interest of people that would like to do it. It will be in the Kawartha Lakes area. Mm-hmm. So I've had some people tell me that they would drive, 3 hours. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But we're wanting to get about 25 participants. We'll make it really interesting. And me and Andrew will be there and some other people too as well. So it'll be pretty cool. But we're way over time for this episode. Yes. That is a really exciting episode.
That was a big leak that you...
Yeah. It was $75 for their website. Again, all that information for them and their website and the promo code.
Welcome everyone to episode number 33 of the Average Ontario Anglers Fishing Podcast. So it's been a long run we've been doing this for, and we have a special episode today. It's always exciting. I don't know exactly what all the questions are myself. Jesse's going to be throwing some at both of ourselves, but hopefully we'll have some interesting ones in here. To start us off, though, Jesse has an interesting fishing fact for us. So we'll see if it lives up to its name again.
Fact on something that I haven't put much thought into at all, but now that I think of it, I'm like, I didn't know that. So hopefully some of you guys didn't know this too. Maybe you're all smart. Who knows? Probably not.
So Jesse didn't put much thought into this fishing fact. So you can skip ahead about 3 minutes. We'll get to the actual Q&A.
So musky teeth.
Oh, good old teeth.
The bigger teeth, the canines, they can be over an inch long.
What?
Over an inch long. Brutal. So if you've ever seen inside of the muskie's mouth, you may notice that along the bottom edge of their mouth, that's where they have the canine, like big pointy spear-like teeth. But on the top of their mouth, what do they have?
It's smaller teeth.
Yeah, but it's on those like two pad-like structures on top. So they have on the roof of their mouth two prickly pad-like areas covered with countless small needle-like teeth. Now, the majority of the teeth angle inward.
Yes.
And why is that, Andrew?
It's because once they have something in their mouth, then it's harder for that to escape. It's like barbs pointing backward on a hook.
Exactly. So when that muskie grabs down on something, say it's a bait fish or your hand, it's very difficult to get out. So the larger teeth, on the other hand, they are up to an inch long, like we said. They're brutally sharp, and their job is to brutally impale any fish or wildlife that they clamp down on.
Brutally?
That technology that people say is ruining fishing, it's only accessible to a small percentage of people that can afford it. So, say like LiveScope was like $200, then yeah, fishing would be ruined.
Boy.
But it's $5,000, $10,000. Like it's a lot of money. So, there's still plenty of opportunities just to spend a few bucks and go fishing. So it may ruin a certain type of fishing for you. Like, oh, you can, fish these bass tournaments and it might ruin that. But the rest of it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Next question. A lot of people, I'm sorry guys, but if you ask us questions like, hey, you guys know any fishing spots near this lake or this lake? We don't know. So I'm not just going to answer those questions because some of them are just in random places in Ontario that I've never been to. So I apologize for that.
Or even then, it could be places that we have heard of, but it's not information that we can divulge because we didn't find those spots. Like we talked before about finding spots is something that takes years. Like Jesse and I found a few spots and we keep those pretty closely guarded because if word gets out, and especially on a podcast like this, if we were to announce someone's spot, ours or anyone else's, and then next weekend there's 100 people, you're not going to be very happy about it yourself. So, let alone the person who provided us with information. So we're not trying to block anyone from getting out there and enjoy fishing, but there's tons of opportunities, and if you get out and you can find your own spot, there's so much satisfaction that can be gained. And what we do on the podcast is try and give you as much usable information so that you can go to any body of water and be able to have success without knowing, oh, this is a hot spot. You can just know the basics.
Exactly. So for heavy cover, it's a good walleye rod. It's good for northern pike. You could carp fish with it. You could chuck spinners for steelhead with it. It's a little heavy for panfish, but you could do it. It's not ideal for muskie fishing again, but you could catch muskie on it. Like, I feel like the medium is like just the best overall rod.
For me, I'd probably go medium heavy, but just to narrow it down a bit more, I'd find something that has like a lot of backbone, but a softer tip.
Yeah.
That way, but it's still a medium heavy rating. So that way you can still use it for, like it's still nice and sensitive if I'm going jig fishing for some lighter stuff. Or I can also still like work top waters and jigs, whatever I want to do with it. But that's the only thing I would change. And it would be a spinning reel instead of a bait caster, just because if I'm going to fish anything, the spinning reel can do everything. Bait casters are more limited.
Exactly.
Why are you sniffing your microphone?
Smells good. So here's a question from the mom understudy. She says, do you use trailers on spinner baits? If so, what do you recommend for pike?
I actually really like, it's something we've used for years, is just twister tail.